Peace, love, and light, family. Peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light. I hope everybody been vibrating high, taking care of themselves. It's been a little minute, but listen, we back live in the flesh, and this video that I've been anticipating is now finally here. So this is the intro to us breaking down the history, breaking down the story of an ancestor of ours, and her name is Sarah Baartman, right? So I've been telling y'all for a little minute that I was gonna break down the whole backstory of her life and the things that she went through while here in this physical, that played a very pivotal part into how women carry themselves now, and it also played a part into what us as men and us as society as a whole, as a collective, have accepted and has normalized. And I don't want to say too much because I'm gonna leave everything for these, for the rest of the video. You feel me? While I'm breaking down everything, you feel me? Because not only are we gonna talk about her life, but I'm gonna explain to you why certain things are today, and why certain women may feel like they're not as pretty if they don't have a certain shape to them. Why certain men may feel like they're not attracted to a woman if they don't have a certain shape to them. You know what I'm saying? And how other races of people, will just say for now, how other races of people have been able to capitalize off of those things. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to waste too much time, family. I don't know how long this video gonna be. But we finally here, we back with fresh content, you know what I'm saying? I'm out in nature right now, my son running around at the park, so I figured it was the right time to bring this cosmic knowledge to the forefront. So anybody that's not aware of her story, we gonna get right into it, family. So peace, love, and light. Keep vibrating high, keep focusing on yourself. If you find this video informative in any way, if you're rocking with me and supporting me wholeheartedly, please like this video. Please share my content to any like-minded individuals. And without further ado, family, we're gonna get right into it, man. Peace. Let's go.
She represents the suffering of countless enslaved black people. Her large hips turned her into a spectacle, displayed like an animal. Her life was a relentless ordeal of pain and torment. Even in death, her body became a museum exhibit in Paris. Her name was Sarah Baartman. Sarah's unique figure caught the eye of a man named Nick. Nick trafficked her from a South African tribe to Paris. He forced her to perform in theaters citywide. Nick introduced her as a savage from the African jungle. Wild and untamed, the crowd roared with excitement. At their demands, Nick opened her cage. A woman with an extraordinary figure stepped forward. The audience was stunned. At Nick's signal, Sarah performed an awkward, unnatural dance. As spectators gawked, they reached out to touch her hips. Her dignity was trampled in that moment. Sarah's tragic story was only beginning. As her performances multiplied, Sarah became a sensation, a viral star of her time. The circus was invited to perform at the Royal Palace. Unlike the common crowd, the elite were even more perverse. They groped her, treating her as an exotic curiosity. Her body soon piqued the interest of scientists. A professor paid a fortune to rent Sarah for 3 days. Nick brought her to a lab for scientific study. She was forced to strip before strangers. Her full, striking hips left the scientists in awe. To gather precise data, they measured her with clinical precision. They even used magnifying glasses for close scrutiny, but Sarah refused to let them touch her most private areas. For this, she was expelled from the institute. Her defiance cost Nick a massive profit. In a rage, he sold her to a brothel. Twisted men sought her out for perverse desires. Sarah endured torment from clients and ridicule from her peers. Soon, illness struck, and the brothel cast her out. To survive, she stood on street corners, ravaged by disease. Finally, illness overcame her. At just 26, her painful life ended, yet her tragedy continued. Her body was sent back to the institute. Scientists, claiming to probe human mysteries, dissected her corpse. They used her to prove African savages existed. Even crueler, they turned her skull into a plaster cast for display. It sat in a Paris museum until 2002, when South Africans fought to bring her home. Her remains were finally returned. This tragic black woman was at last laid to rest.
Peace, love, and light, family. Peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light. So, we just gonna go ahead and hop right into everything because we got a whole lot of notes. We got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. So, I'm gonna do my best to stay on point and just give y'all the basis of the breakdown of the ancestor Sarah Baartman story, tied into what's going on in today's society, and make everything full circle. You know what I'm saying? But first, let's I'm gonna do my best to give y'all a clear indication and a breakdown of her upbringing, and tell y'all just tell y'all her story. You know what I'm saying? Before I start going in on other stuff, right? So her name is Sarah Baartman, right? And she was born in 1789, right? She's from South Africa, right? So at a very, very young age, right? So she's from South Africa, and this was a very, very early time. So there's really not any known documents as to what her real actual birth name was, okay? And then, like I say, both her mom and her dad transcended, aka passed away, very, very early. I want to say when she was still like a handheld baby, right? So at this point, we all understand that our whole planet has been colonized by Europeans or people who derive from Europeans, right? So, in the process of them colonizing and taking over Africa and renaming it and reclassifying it and things of that nature, because her parents passed away at such a young age of hers, I do want to say that she was taken away from her homeland, which is where her surname, aka her last name, Baartman, comes from. It comes from Europeans because she was taken away from her tribe. She was taken away from her land, right? So she was taken away by British, Dutch people. You know what I'm saying? The British had colonized the land over in Africa, and she was picked up by them at a very young age, right? So again, there's really no known documents as to what her actual birth name was. But one of her names was Sarah or Sarjay, which comes from her Khoikhoi tribe that she's a part of. Khoikhoi is a South African tribe. So they do believe that her name was Sarjay, which in English breakdown is Sarah. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I say, she was taken away from British people, which is where her surname or her last name comes from, being Baartman, right? So as her years, as like a young child going into like teenage years, she basically was just working on a bunch of different European farmlands, right? Doing a bunch of farm work, housework, things of that nature. And like I say, it's not really too much documentation as to her life. So all of this is just different stories and different breakdowns of other people telling her story, right? So yeah, as a young kid slash teenager, she just worked on different European farmlands and had jobs like being a washerwoman, being a nursemaid, and also being a wet nurse. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I had to look up what a wet nurse was. But basically, a wet nurse is someone that is basically breastfeeding the children, or just like taking care of the baby as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like a nanny, I guess you could say. Um, so yeah, that's what a wet nurse is. So yeah, she had a bunch of different little jobs like that. You know what I'm saying? Basically, just doing a bunch of housework, and taking care of the children. Basically, you know what I'm saying? Um, but in the process of that, right? All right, so it's not really too much information as to her dating life and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? But there was a mentioning of her um dating a soldier, um a British soldier or a Dutch soldier, whatever you want to call it, whatever they called it back then. But basically, she had it was reports of her having a romantic relationship with a soldier, right? And again, she was taken away from her homeland and brought to Europe. So, of course, obviously, this soldier was a European man, a white man, right? So there was reports of her having 2 kids. The gender is not really talked about what the kids were, but it does say that the kids transcended, did not make it, like very young. So I don't know if she had like a stillbirth or not too long after the kids were born they didn't make it for whatever reasons. Like I say, y'all, it's not too much details that goes into stuff like that as far as her day-to-day life, you know what I'm saying, throughout the years. So you just gotta kind of fill in the blanks with the stuff that they left. But there was reports of her having 2 kids, but they did not make it very young, you know what I'm saying? So this was a she didn't have any kids, she didn't have any family, basically. So, and there was reports of her dating like a British soldier, you know what I'm saying? And there were some names involved, there were different names involved, but I didn't want to get too thrown off track or make this too long, y'all. So we not even gonna get into the different names, we just gonna focus specifically on everything that she has been through. But if you want to get into the names and what these other people did and things of that nature, then definitely feel free to look up her story. You know what I'm saying? But either way though, this boyfriend, this soldier, this British soldier or whatever, her boyfriend started taking her to the hospital. Now again, this is like 17 something, you know what I'm saying? So why that was a thing, or what the purpose of that was, I'm not really sure, and they don't specify, right? But it says her boyfriend basically, upon them dating, at some point started taking her because, okay, again, right? So let me back up a little bit. Sarah Baartman, right? She is a Khoi tribe member, right? Naturally. So we all understand that our women naturally, especially our women that are like from Haiti, from any parts of Africa, Puerto Rico, even any Latino woman. I've already broken this down. That South African people were taken to Puerto Rico, or the Dominican Republic rather. But Puerto Ricans, it's all the same thing, fam. All their ancestors come from South Africa, right? So technically speaking, they're black people, right? Okay, so Latino people and quote unquote black women, they let's be real, they have a nice natural shape to them the majority of the time, right? So the whole attraction to Sarah Baartman was because of her natural shape. She had natural thick thighs. She had a natural, nice size behind to her. You know what I'm saying? She had a nice butt. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just gonna call it what it is, right? So, but you gotta remember that she was taken from her family. She was taken from her homeland and brought to Europe. So at this time, and even probably still to this day, Europe is a majority white type of population. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it's a little bit more diverse than what it was in 1700s, but definitely in the 1700s and early years, it was definitely just straight, European people there, right? They weren't accustomed to our color and our natural builds that we have. You know what I'm saying? Our hair, our coat, like our whole genetic structure. They're not used to that, right? They're not used to that. So she was probably attracting a lot of attention by just naturally walking around and just being who she is, being shaped how she naturally is. She was, probably causing like a lot of attention. So her boyfriend probably seen that. So it says that he started taking her to the hospital, right? And he would take her to the hospital and start showing her off to different surgeons and stuff like that. And he would take her and show her off and receive money, right? So again, y'all, I'm gonna do my best to tie this into what's going on into today's society now. But y'all, this would be the early stages of where pimping comes from, where you're exploiting a woman and receiving money for that, whether she agrees to it or not. You know what I'm saying? So this is where the early stages of pimping came from, y'all, right? And notice that a lot of our people rather have taken up this thing of being a pimp and exploiting our own women, right? And a lot of our men and women, for participating in it, get a lot of negative attention from that, right? But you must understand that is all programming, family. All this stuff came from Europeans pimping our women, exploiting our women for money and in exchange for sex and things of that nature. That is not in our nature, family. That is not in our nature. I told you, anciently, we uplifted ourselves. We praised ourselves. We praised each other. You feel me? Because we all understood that we were all one, right? So exploiting our women, that was not a thing. We don't do that, right? That's all a European thing, right? So we developed wanting to exploit our women from Europeans, right? So I just want to point that out and let y'all know that this was the early stages of pimping, okay? So her boyfriend started taking her to the hospital, showing her off to these different surgeons. and receiving money, right? And I'm pretty sure she didn't know that, right? She didn't know. So upon him doing that, he came across one particular surgeon that knew some people, and he suggested her to go somewhere in Europe, and he basically told her to get in the act of showing herself out. She needed to go into the entertainment business and get on stage and start exploiting herself for money. You know what I'm saying? Basically to get more attention on herself, right? And of course, upon him suggesting that, she declined it. Right? Because like I say, y'all, that's not in our nature. Women sleeping around with a bunch of men, and even though, you know what I'm saying, women can definitely have multiple husbands, but that's a divine thing. And you're only staying within your tribe. You're not going out to different men every weekend, sleeping with a bunch of different men, getting pregnant by a bunch of different men, and y'all share a baby, but y'all have no type of romantic relationship ever outside of what y'all did to create that child. That's not in our nature, family. That's not in our nature. All right. And even being with multiple women, we had a tribe. Okay, we had multiple wives, right? So we're not stepping outside of that tribe. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. So that's not naturally in our nature. That's not naturally in our women's nature to be promiscuous, to be wanting to be so exposing. You know what I'm saying? Even though cloth and things of that nature is still a man-made thing. So we were exposed back in our tribal and higher frequency days. You know what I'm saying? Clothes is not a thing. Clothes restrict energy. Restricts electricity, and we are electrical beings. You feel what I'm saying? So cloth is very detrimental to the vessel. Very much, which is why they make us wear cotton. You know what I'm saying? Which is why they put rubber on the soles of our feet. Feel what I'm saying? So it restricts electricity. You know what I'm saying? So of course though, she declined it, right? But her boyfriend that she was with at the time, he wanted to do it because he was already making money off of her behind her back, but she didn't know that. Right? So when he heard the opportunity, he was with it, right? And I guess her not having no family, not having no kids, not having no real guidance out here for real, like she would have had she remained at her homeland with her tribe. She did like a lot of our women do and get caught up in sometimes, where they don't really have no guidance like that. So all they know is the person that they have a romantic relationship with. So sometimes it's been situations where you may not want to do something, but your partner may want to do it. And because you love your partner, you end up agreeing to it, even though you deep down don't want to do it, right? So that's what happened with Sarah, right? That's what happened with Sarah. She declined it at first, but her boyfriend wanted to do it. So, and again, this is a European man. So he not caring about her essence. He not caring about who she is as a person. You got to understand the times. This is the 1700s, fam. So racism is you feel me? Right there in your face, right? So we not gonna sit here and act like this man was any different, but he probably seen her natural beauty and was attracted to it, because deep down they try to put us down, but they really love us as people, fam. They really love us. You know what I'm saying? But either way though, so her boyfriend was okay with it. So she said the only way that she would do it is if he went with her. And he was with her through every step of the way, right? So eventually she ends up agreeing to this. And the time span between it, like I say, y'all, it's not too much details in between. You know what I'm saying? So we just gotta fill in the blanks, right? Alright, y'all. So look, they end up going to Europe. Well, they was already in Europe, but I guess like a different part of it. And I guess at this time, Europe had like different fairs and different certain attractions, certain events, right? Where it was like dwarfs or I remember them mentioning somebody that they called like the Irish Giant or something like that. That was his stage name. He was basically like very, very tall and lift weights and stuff. So he would probably like pick up heavy stuff. And basically kind of like the circus, y'all. Kind of like the circus for real, where they got a bunch of different people. I don't want to call it the freak show because that's very disrespectful to people who are, born a certain way and born different than the average person. So I don't want to say that, but that's basically what it was, and that's what they called it. That's what they called it, freak shows, where it was just a bunch of different people that did a bunch of different stuff. You know what I'm saying? And they would go to fairs. They would go to like certain nightclubs. They would go to they would hold certain events so people could come and see different people. You know what I'm saying? So, and they called it freak shows. That's what they called it, right? That's what they called it. So she ends up, the man that she was with, the surgeon that they ended up talking to, that suggested them to go and start, basically broadcasting herself, exploiting herself. He knew some people that held freak shows, right? So he plugged them all the way in to, to set the whole play up, right? Set the whole play up. And keep in mind, right, that this surgeon that suggested this, he's going to come back into play into the story later on, right? And you're going to see how this shit is full circle and really fucked up, how people really be preying on your downfall the whole time, right? So he's going to come back up in the story later on, right? But either way, they went. He already knew some people that was hosting some events like that she would be perfect for. The boyfriend was with it. She wasn't with it, but she agreed to do it because the boyfriend wanted to do it. So it started. They went to wherever they need to get to plug in with these people, connect with these people, and it was a go. So they found a certain person that holds showcases and freak shows and things of that nature. Now, it is reported that she was not the only person that was a part of that freak show, and that she was not the only Khoi tribe member that was taken away from her family and exploited the same way that she was for their natural shape. And it was reported that there were men involved and young children. All right. Now again, it's not too many details in that, but they did mention that there are reports of other people, especially other goddesses that came from the Khoi tribe, right? So they've been taking us away from our homeland and colonizing colonizing the land, right? And then having us go do manual labor for these people so they can exploit us. They can make us do free labor, and they can treat us as property. So that's what they were doing with her, right? And that's what they did with a bunch of other people from her tribe, right? So this was a known thing going on back then, right? So once she got involved with these people who hosted these freak shows, right? They had to give her a stage name, right? And of course, once they seen her natural shape they already understood that that would be a curiosity to other European people, right? Because they're not naturally built like that. And I told y'all, I gave y'all a breakdown of how human beings were created. And white women got ass now, but naturally y'all didn't have that. And when we had to reconstruct y'all because y'all was sliced with different animals, that's how Zeus created y'all, to be with different animals and stuff like that. So when we reconstructed y'all in our image, we had to take I ain't even gonna get too deep into it, right? But basically, naturally, white women they're not naturally built thick, right? But nowadays, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in the water, but nowadays they are. You got some women that you know what I'm saying, they got a good natural shape to them now. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all. But listen, naturally that's not how that was, especially back in the day. It's not how that was, right? So they understood right away that she would be a natural attraction to other European women and men for sure, because of they were not used to natural shapes like that, right? So they named her Hottentot Venus. That was her stage name, right? Hottentot Venus. Now, like y'all remember back in the day, and probably even now, still to this day, where, like, let's say a young girl, a young woman or whatever, a young teenage girl or something that's fast, they'll either call her fast or they'll call her hot, right? They'll say she hot in the ass or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a little old school saying, whatever, right? So understand where these certain word plays come from. Understand where they come from. They all come from these people. They all come from these people, bro. Oh, she hot, she fast. They all come from these people, European people. They all come from that, bruh. But either way though, right? So they named her Hottentot Venus, right? Now, where the Venus part comes from, let me see. And understand too. Well, I'm about to break it down anyway. So, Venus is or can be a representation of the female body, right? And that is because of the Venus, of the Greek goddess, or the Roman goddess, the Greek goddess. They're the same thing though. But Venus was a Roman goddess, right? Venus. So this is why the word Venus can be used as a representation when talking about a woman's body, right? So Venus was a Roman goddess of love and fertility, right? Love and fertility, right? So let's break that down. Love and fertility, basically that's sex, right? That's sex. Let's just break that shit down and call it what it is. Love and fertility. Fertility is the process of life, right? You creating life, right? Okay, so you have to have well, anciently it's called procreating. It's not called sex, right? Sex is, again, European, okay? Sex is low vibrational, but procreating is high vibrational, right? But either way though, Venus, she was the Roman, and there's no such thing as a Roman goddess. All right, there's no such thing, or Greek goddess. There's no such thing as that, right? So I just want to elaborate on that too. There's no such thing as a Greek or Roman goddess. There's no. If you not us, you ain't no goddess. Point blank period. If you not us, you not no god. But that's no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. I'm just speaking cosmic facts though. But they whitewash all that, right? They whitewash all of it. You know what I'm saying? Same thing they did with Jesus. They just whitewash Yahweh. You feel me? Yahweh was another ancestor of ours. They just whitewashed it, called him Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That's all they do. So Venus was a Roman Greek goddess of love and fertility. So basically they were selling sex, basically. So this is where the whole sex spell that I be telling y'all about, this is where that comes from. Again, they have spells on the collective of people, fam. They have spells. All right. So this is why they show you all this imagery. Any type of music video, any type of movie, any type of TV show, it always has some type of exposing, revealing of a woman body. You know what I'm saying? Or some type of sex scene, or some type of video vixens and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Where they got good looking women that's in the videos, in the motion pictures, right? And when you see that, especially when you see a woman in short or tight clothing, right, you automatically go to your lower state of mind of thinking, right? So this is why they show that. This is why they push all that on us. It's a sex spell on the collective, fam. They want us to stay in our root chakra, fam. They want us to stay in the lowest version of ourselves. They want us lusting and all that things after each other, right? So this is why they push sex. This is why they push promiscuous women. This is why they push having a large butt. You know what I'm saying? To the point where it's people going and having surgery to get fake, you know what I'm saying? Fake whatever, silicone, whatever, put in your body just to imitate this figure. You know what I'm saying? Because this is all a spell. This is all predictive programming, social engineering. To the point where now, if a female doesn't have a certain natural shape to them, a certain natural thick shape to them, they don't even feel as pretty. It's certain women like that feel like having a natural shape, thick shape to them is everything. You know what I'm saying? To the point where it becomes their whole identity. That's all. As long as you got a fat ass, a lot of women is cool in life. You can be broke, fucked up, whatever. But as long as you can post on social media and toot your ass up to the camera and get a whole bunch of low vibrational attention, that's cool with a lot of women. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? But whatever though. That all comes from the exploitation of our women from these European people. Let's understand that. Right? But yeah, so this is a whole spell that's being casted, right? On everybody that comes and watch that woman parade herself around, right? It was all to help people stay in their lowest version of themselves, right? Now, so again, you feel me? They call it Hottentot Venus. And again, upon her doing different shows and stuff like that, and people just being naturally attracted to her natural shape, and that being like a foreign thing in Europe at the time, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, she started picking up traction. She started picking up popularity, basically. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people was talking about it. They had flyers and certain things of that going. I'm gonna see if I can find a screenshot of a flyer. But they had flyers and they was doing all type of big promotions. So she was like becoming like a big sensation in Europe at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like a big thing, right? And you may be thinking like why would she just so easily agree to doing this? And again, her boyfriend was cool with it. And once they got to the point of doing different shows, y'all, and I'll get into this. I'm about to get into this in the next little clip. But she was promised money and compensation for her doing these shows, right? So, I'm not sure if there was any upfront money or anything like that. But again, she's doing this with her boyfriend, so you feel me? She put her you know, her certain feelings to the side, and she was promised some type of compensation for her doing these shows. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. So I want to try to stay in order with this type of stuff, but there is really like no specific type of order. Her life events are not like from start to finish type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of details that's left out, right? But like I said, it was reported that she was baptized at a certain point in her life, and that she ended up getting married, right? Now, to who, you know, and they did have the place where she got baptized at. But I didn't even want to dive into that because, of course, like I say, her being taken away from her land and brought upon Europeans and getting accustomed to how they live, and their belief systems, then there's no surprise that she was baptized and probably a Christian and believing in the white Jesus and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no surprise. You feel what I'm saying? And you know, whatever. You feel me? But it was reported that she was baptized, and the same day that she was baptized, she got married. And upon this time, like I said, she was picking up a lot of traction, and got to the point where she started doing bigger shows for like wealthier people. So upon this time is where it was reported that she was like wearing, like, she wasn't completely naked, and it did report that she would never do any shows completely naked. But around this time, she was wearing some type of collar on her, which is very, very weird to me because again, that's just, you know, like belittling her and treating her not only like property, but basically like an animal or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, understand how these people looked at us and viewed us and treated us, and understand that these are the descendants of the people that's still running the world still to this day, fam. So that shit runs through their bloodline. They are naturally chaotic beings. Alright? Naturally. And we're naturally chaotic beings, but they're chaotic in a different type of way, as to where they don't even care about their own. We're chaotic against low vibration. You know what I'm saying? We get shit structured when it comes to getting things out of balance, how they're not supposed to be. Then we're chaotic beings, but they're naturally chaotic to a self implode, a self destruction type of way, a crash out type of chaos. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's you know. But either way though, yeah, so that's, pay attention to that though. She at some point in time, once she started getting these big shows with these wealthy people, they decide to throw a collar on her. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me, right? Which leads me to this next point where she had a court case, and again, the details is very slim, right? So it says she was probably dealing with this court case around like the age of 22, right? So, and it had the different names, the people that put out different affidavits and basically was trying to get her from out under that system. They had the names and things of that nature, but like I say, I ain't want to go too deep into other people's stuff. So there was a person and a group of people that definitely put out a case, because like I say, she was a very, very, very big sensation in Europe. So at a certain point in time, there was a particular person that put out went to the council and basically was trying to get her freed from under that system, saying that she was being mistreated, saying that she was being treated like property, and basically being treated like a slave. You know what I'm saying? So there was a whole court case, and again, she was like at the age of 22. She was very fluent in Dutch. She was very fluent in I'm trying to think. So she spoke fluent French, I want to say. And Dutch. And she had like a very small dialect of English. You know what I'm saying? Could speak English a little bit. But she knew different languages though. And it was reported that she was very, very bright, very intelligent. Her memory was on point. She had a photographic memory. And she was very good with faces in particular. You know what I'm saying? So she was not dumb. You know what I'm saying? She was not slow in no type of way, even though she was going through all this different stuff and really never really had no type of reports of any type of schooling. So that just goes to show you that real life is the best teacher, fam. You don't need school. You know what I'm saying? And all you need is connections and relationships, for real, because that's how the rich stay rich. You don't need to go to a school. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're going to go there and network. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to learn a trade that eventually you're going to turn into your own type of business type of deal. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, you do not need a school, fam. And that, but either way though, she had a court case, and y'all, it's reports. Now this could be fabricated because we going off Wikipedia, so that can be changed and altered and things of that nature, right? And this is like the 1700s. Time isn't real, but that was way back when, right? So you can only take this information with a grain of salt, right? Because I know better, right? But either way, the reports say that when she was going through this court case, she did definitely come to court, and she did agree to comply and talk and speak and things of that nature. And she basically declined all accusations of her being a slave, being treated as property, being mistreated, being sexually abused. She disclaimed all those allegations, right? So at that point in time, there was basically nothing that they could go forward with in the court case, right? And again, this is where I said earlier, where it was reports that she said that she definitely was promised half of the profits from whatever they made from these shows and whatever. Now, did she get any type of compensation? I'm pretty sure she didn't. Because it was reports that she died broke with nothing. You feel me? So And that's basically the breakdown of her life. Like I said, it's not really too much information on her day-to-day life like that. And you got to think that she was 26 years old when she transcended, family. So she didn't live a long life like that. You feel me? All right. Now listen, this last little part that we gonna get into, y'all, this is the part that I want y'all to focus on. And this is exactly why everything is going on, this is exactly why things have to come to an end the way that we've been accustomed to living. This is exactly why. And these people do not care about us. Your government does not care about us. Right? And they will use and abuse us and exploit us to make every single profit that they can. And this is why you should not ever try to go into the entertainment business or anything like that, because I'm telling you, they exploit you. And we gonna get into it, right? We gonna get into it. So listen. And again, before I even get into it, right? So strip clubs, how she was going and performing on stage and showing her natural body off and wearing tight garments and things of that nature, right?
Call this twerking, but it was originally known as mapuka, which quite literally means the same thing. Mapuka, or twerking, has the power to remove stagnant blood from the uterus and even fibroid cysts. Not only that, but it empowers your womb space and increases circulation to your sacral chakra, okay? So this is how we gain more creativity. So if ever you're dealing with low self-esteem, creative block, or womb trauma, I encourage you to practice mapuka. You're welcome.
Now it did, like I said, it did say she wouldn't do it completely naked, right? With her bare body, but she was wearing very tight, exposing clothing, right? So again, like how I said about the pimping earlier, well, this was the first version of a strip club. Because what do you do at a strip club? What do women do at the strip club? And even men, there's men's strip clubs. What do? You go on a stage with a pole and you parade yourself around that stage. You showing off your bare body. Or if you don't have all your clothes off, then you at least have very short, very tight, some type of bikini, top and bottom. You know what I'm saying? Exposing at least 90% of your body. You know what I'm saying? You might as well damn near be naked. You know what I'm saying? So this was the first versions of that, right? And again, this all derives from European culture. So a lot of strippers get a lot of slack. They get a lot of negative commentation about the things that they do, right? How they live their life. And I'm not gonna lie, I do not at all condone any of our goddesses to ever belittle yourself in that way. There's other hustles that you can do that if you put the effort into it can make just as much good money as that does without belittling yourself. You know what I'm saying? But hey, y'all do what y'all do though. You know what I'm saying? But I just want y'all to understand that every single thing that we have come accustomed to and think is normal comes from Europeans exploiting us as people and treating us like nothing, right? Understand that. So this was the first versions of strip clubs, fam. Her parading herself on stage for other people to look at and paying admission or paying money to see this woman, right? All right, bet. So listen, it says that she transcended or passed away in December 29th, 1815, right? Now, there's no specifics about how she transcended, but they do say that it was from either smallpox, syphilis, or pneumonia, which we understand the 1700s, 1800s, where medicine is today, that was like probably the early stages of it. So a lot of people were transcending from a lot of things that can be, not, can be easily cured today, or not even cured, but can be easily handled today. Back in the day, a lot of people were transcending and passing away from the common cold, or like small little things that our body can naturally just fight off now. At that time, people were just, the world was very different. You know what I'm saying? The world was very different, and Western medicine or whatever was not what it is today. So you feel what I'm saying? So a lot of people were transcending back in the day from those type of illnesses, but there are no reports, and there were no autopsies done to find out exactly what the cause of death was, right? So they didn't even care enough to do that, right? So there's no specific reasoning to how she transcended, right? Like I say, these details are very slim, right? But the part that I want to focus on is after she transcended, her body, her remains rather, were cut up and preserved, right? Cut up and preserved. And the main parts of her body that were preserved and that they focused on was her brain, her genital area, her private part, and her skeleton, right? Now, we all understand that throughout history that these people have performed different experiments on us. It's the Tuskegee experiment, the whole MK Ultra thing, where they were studying how electricity and things of that nature affect the brain, and just all types of different things that they want to label as science, right? Science research, right? So they kept her remains and preserved her remains, and they classified it as for science research, right? So I tell y'all all the time that these people do not have our genetics. So this is why hospitals and things of that nature became a thing, because these people need to study us. So that's why they draw blood. That's why they have all these different technologies, these CAT scans and things of that nature, x-rays and things of that nature that can take pictures of the inside of your vessel so that they can go back and study it. But mainly, they want to draw that blood because that's where your life force is. That's where all your genetics is. That's where your blood lineage is, right? Who you belong to on the spiritual level. Who you are directly descended of ancestrally. You feel me? Who your ancestors are. This is all in your bloodstream, fam. So this is why they draw blood like that, right? Alright, so they kept her remains and they classified it as scientific research. You know what I'm saying? Or science purposes, rather. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time that the person that Carvier, because I like the pronunciations of these people names is like, you know what I'm saying? So, but either way, the doctor though, he was just making hella rude remarks when given a breakdown of explaining her remains and her nature and things of that nature. Like making remarks as to she resembled ape, and you know, just making hella like racist comments, right? As he's, you know, writing down his report, right, for these science purposes, right? And like I told y'all all the time, that it's crazy that European people try to call us monkeys when it's a scientific fact that we don't possess any type of animal DNA, but they do. As Europeans, they are the ones that come from apes. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they call us monkeys, because really that's them. That's them. You feel me? It's them. But whatever though. You know what I'm saying? Whatever though. But that tripped me out when I was reading that though. Cause I'm like, that's crazy, you being hella racist and this woman not even here no more in the physical. And you still being on some racist bullshit when y'all are the monkeys. Respectfully. I love certain white people that love my people. But respectfully, y'all are the fucking monkeys, not us. We don't have animal DNA. Alright, y'all do. So let's get that shit understood. Let's get it understood, nigga. For anybody that ever want to try to use that slur. You're the fucking monkey. You. Alright? But anyway, so they ended up putting her remains in the National Museum of Natural History, right? And this is somewhere, let me see, did I write it down? I want to say this was somewhere in France. This museum, somewhere in France, right? So they kept her remains there, right? They kept her remains and put them in a museum, fam. In a museum where they would charge people admission to these museums, and they could see her remains. And the 3 remains that I just told y'all, her private part, her skeleton, and her brain, fam. Okay? These were the parts that they preserved and put in a museum. Okay? And this just goes to show you that even like that, like it's the same thing as entertainers or rappers and singers, right? These record labels take out life insurance on their artists. So if they end up transcending or they sacrifice your ass and kill you off, not only do they get insurance claim off of you, but now if you're an artist and you had unreleased music, because they only let you put out music when they say so. So that's why a lot of rappers be having a lot of unreleased music, because they can't drop whenever they want to drop. But they record a lot, so they have a lot of unreleased music, right? So that's strategically in place for a reason. So if something happens to you, not only do they get the insurance claim off of you, but now they can put out all your unreleased music or put out an unreleased album and collect a revenue of money off of you after your ass is not here no more. All right? No more. But they're still getting money off of you, fam. All right? Only the people that own their masters and own the rights to their music, who can pass that catalog down to their family or something, that's the only time. Not a lot of rappers, it's only a handful of rappers that own their music, fam. Understand that. Understand that. So they were still making money off of this woman, off of this goddess, even after she no longer was here no more, fam. And they put her remains in a museum for people to come and look at it. And what was it? So Again, she transcended in 1815, fam. Okay? So it was reported that at some point in time in the fucking museum, her remains were stolen because they were such an attraction. They had such an attraction to them. People were literally going out their way trying to steal her remains, fam, for whatever reason, right? So it says that in 1913, her remains were moved to the Museum of Mankind from 1937 to 1970, right? To 1970. Now, in 1994, Nelson Mandela became president, and he requested the French to release or return her remains to her homeland, right? So her remains eventually, it didn't really have the dates and stuff like that, but her remains eventually were moved back to her homeland in South Africa in 2002. But Nelson Mandela made this request in 1994, fam. So it took all of that time. They ended up agreeing to give her remains back, right? After they exploited her and made all this money off of her, right? After all this time, right? Her remains did not get buried until 2002, fam. 2002. That was over 200 years, bruh, after her birth. Over 200 years. So, when I tell y'all that everything comes from these European people and how they treated us and what they did to us and things of that nature to make their culture and to help they cities thrive, right? They got rich off of us, fam. They exploited us and they exploit us still to this day, which is why people feel like it's okay to be a video vixen, which is why our women are on OnlyFans, which is why any type of woman with a natural shape, that consumes her whole identity to the point where every picture that she take, any video that she is recording is some type of way of her tooting her ass up at a camera, fam. To the point where women think they are less than if they're not built in a thick type of body shape. It's become that deep. To the point where you can't even scroll on social media without seeing some type of woman showing off her body. And listen, I'ma be real. You cannot call yourself a real divine goddess if I can pay a subscription to see your bare body. You are not a real divine goddess if I can go on the internet and see, maybe not see your bare body, but I should not be able to go on your social media platform or your profile and see all types of promiscuous videos, promiscuous pictures, right? And then you got real people. You got people out here that claim they're spiritual, but every time you see them post, they're posting something that's revealing their body shape. But you claim you're a divine goddess, though. That's not divinity, gang. I'm gonna be real with you. You are helping these European people. You are helping these Caucasian people keep us locked in our root chakra. Because now you helping the oppressors now. How? Because now you're selling the energy of sex now. Because you understand what you're doing when you posting those pictures and posting those videos with your ass tooted up to the camera. You understand what you're doing, bro. You understand that the moment that a man or a woman sees that, they're not thinking about, oh, I want to get to know you. I want to take you to meet my mother. There's not no type of thought process when we see all these women that's supposed to be divine goddesses, but you stuck in your lower self, so you a bad bitch or you this and you that. Every time you toot your ass up to that camera and you post it, you helping the oppressors. You keeping us locked in our root chakra. That's not divinity. That's not divinity. I don't give a damn what you claim to be, how intuitive you claim to be, how tapped in with your higher self or spirit you claim to be. Well, you must not be tapped into the same spirit that I'm tapped into. You must not be tapped into the same source I'm tapped into, because I hold myself with some class. And yeah, I'm a god. So I'm not going to be real. If I see a nice pair of cheeks, I'm a look. But I'm not going to give you the energy of reacting to the post or commenting under the post like how some men do, how a lot of men do, who gas y'all ass up and make y'all feel like that's okay. They operating in their root chakra. They're lost. That's why they supporting that shit. And then you're capitalizing off of them being lost. So that's why you keep posting the shit. So now again, now you see where you're working with the oppressors, fam. So how are you divine? How the fuck are you a divine God and you supporting that shit? How? It's time for us to rise, fam. It's time for us to leave all this shit behind. We don't have no choice. We don't have no choice. People are dropping left and right. Y'all see these floods going on. And yeah, part of that is man-made. Part of these floods is man-made, fam. But at the same time, the other half of that is a spiritual shift going on. Where if your ass is not operating in a higher vibration, you will not be here in the physical for too long. You will not. You can't be. We are rising. So if you're not helping us rise, then you are against us rising. And you will be dealt with accordingly, fam. And to the oppressors that have put all these different spells, have put all this different social engineering over our gods and goddesses, over our kids, you will be dealt with accordingly too. And understand that this shit will not stop. America is going to fall. Okay? America is going to fall. This shit is not going to stop until every single last one of y'all parasites are no longer living. Understand, this shit gonna get real, fam. So I just hope y'all ready. And I just hope that I was able to. I just wanted to bring her story to the forefront, fam. So peace and love to the ancestor. Peace and love to all our ancestors that was done in that way, because she's not the only one. And please do understand that all the oppressors that had a part in exploiting her and our people and are exploiting us now still to this day, understand you will perish, fam. Your time is coming. Our time is now, fam. We will rise. We are rising right now. So peace, love, and light, fam. Peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light. Now we rise.